Everything started falling apart when my 15-year-old daughter Shelley received one of those DHK kits for Christmas. I don't even remember who gave it to her. She was very excited when she carefully filled out all the application requirements and sent it by mail. 6 weeks later, the results finally came, and she was disappointed. Donna and I were sitting quietly in the living room reading when our daughter decided to voice her displeasure. We couldn't make out the words, but the tone was clear. About 15 minutes later, she stormed out of her room and announced she was going to her friend's house. Donna reminded her she needed to be home for dinner as she rushed out the door. I sat there with a somewhat amused smile, noticing Donna seemed a bit more concerned. We both just shrugged and continued reading. Donna and I got married 18 years ago, shortly after I finished my residency. 5 years later, I was the leading hepatobiliary surgeon in the Tri-County area. I had so much work I could handle, and life was good. And then everything went to hell. We were at a social event sponsored by Donna's company, Gilbert Enterprises, when I had some kind of episode that resulted in me developing neurological tics reminiscent of Parkinsonism. It wasn't Parkinson's disease, but something similar. I had a constant tic in my right eye, and my right hand would twitch at inappropriate moments. They never did pinpoint exactly what it was, and for some reason, I was just grateful I was still functional enough not to pursue it further. However, my days as a surgeon were over, so I found a new position as a radiologist. 9 months later, Shelley was born. Everything seemed to be going as well as expected. I wasn't thrilled with my new condition, but I continued to function fully in most areas. I handled my new medical responsibilities very well, and the pay was still adequate. My family and sex life didn't suffer, actually. Donna seemed to be a bit more cautious. She turned into some sort of Stepford wife. I thought maybe she felt a bit guilty because of the incident that occurred at one of her company events. Anyway, I liked her increased attention, so I didn't complain. I really did love that woman. We lived like this for 15 years. Donna, do you have any ideas why Shelley is so upset about the family history? I have no idea. I really think it's best if we just leave everything as it is. I'm sure she'll get over it in a few days, whatever it is. Something about how she said that didn't sit well with me. I felt like she was trying to distract me from it, without seeming obvious. I just smiled and nodded. The rest of the evening, I hardly read anything, but I was damn sure doing a lot of thinking. I tried to connect Shelley's attitude with anything else that could be going on, but nothing came up. Aside from the usual stresses that come with any family, we were in good shape. No financial troubles, no bedroom issues, and certainly nothing that could be related to our daughter. I needed to take a look at the DHK report. Donna went to work, and Shelley went to school. I stayed home. I found what I was looking for in her desk drawer. Donna's family was mostly Irish, and mine was mostly Scottish with a hint of German. Turns out, Shelley was 48% Eastern European. I had to chuckle at the low quality of the report. As I read further, I noticed there was a list of close matches. Of course, Donna's name was at the top, but mine was nowhere to be found. There were also a few names of Donna's relatives, but none of mine. I assumed the only people who would show up on the list were those whose DHK was actually recorded. Donna, Shelley, and I did it 5 years ago as part of our annual checkup. Mine should have been there if Donna's was. I started to worry, then I noticed a strange name at the top of the list. Teresa Hagen matched at 46%. Who the hell was Teresa Hagen? Dr. McCall, this is John Terrell. Yes, John, glad to hear from you. Everything all right? Yes, no problems. I still have this damn twitching and eye tic, but otherwise, I'm okay. However, I have a small question. Several years ago, you collected DHK samples from all of us for our medical records. Could you check something for me? What do you need? I'm trying to find out if there are any discrepancies in the DHK results between Shelley and me. Discrepancies? What do you mean by discrepancies? Listen, Doc, it's weird, but I'm trying to figure out if Shelley is my biological daughter or not. I don't want to cause any problems, but I just need to know. Oh, damn, excuse my French, John. You know you have access to all those files. You could check it yourself. I know, but I'd prefer if you did it. Let me take a look at the files, and I'll call you back. Okay, give me some time. Thanks, Doc. I really appreciate it. I think Donna could have said that I was concerned. Dr. McCall confirmed that I'm not Shelley's father. I haven't told Donna. For the past 3 days, I've been trying to figure out what I want to do. Surprisingly, I've been quite calm about this whole situation and managed to think it through without losing my composure. It took me a few days to find Teresa Hagen. For some reason, I assumed she must be roughly Shelley's age, and I felt like a creep for even thinking about it. Finally, I found her on the internet pages under the name of Malcolm Hagen's family. Malcolm was around my age and lived in Westchester. I assumed she was his daughter. Malcolm agreed to meet me on Saturday morning at Denny's in Exton. I wasn't sure if he knew who I was, but I detected some anxiety in his voice. He arrived early. I arrived on time. We exchanged pleasantries. "Malcolm, I don't recall meeting you before. Did you ever live in Reading?" It elicited a slight grimace from him. He shifted uncomfortably in his chair, as if trying to get more comfortable. "I worked at Gilbert Enterprises about 15 years ago or so. I think we might have met at one of the company events then." I left Reading shortly after that. He seemed to feel relieved at saying this, but still a bit uneasy. "So, I understand you knew my wife Donna?" It was a question phrased as a comment. He didn't answer, he just nodded. "Do you know why I'm here?" "Not entirely, but I have some guesses." Several tense moments of silence ensued. "Why did you stay silent for so long?" "I just found out." Silence again. He sighed deeply. "I was young. I drank too much and got caught in the moment. I know that's not an excuse, and I know it was wrong. I think, more than anything, I succumbed to peer pressure. Donna, your wife, was one of the most charming women I ever met. I knew she was married, but apparently, at that moment, it didn't matter to anyone. Who else was there?" He still seemed a bit hesitant. "The three of us were from the engineering department. Freddie Springer, Clayton Menck, and myself. Donna was very friendly with all of us, and we had a great time. There were many hints flying around, and some of them became serious. Did anyone ever mention me? Donna kept looking around to make sure you weren't nearby with us. If I remember correctly, you were chatting with one of the older guys about golf. How did all this end up going downhill?" Freddie tried to persuade Donna to take some ecstasy. She kept saying, no. He was quite insistent. That's when everything went downhill. "What does that mean?" "We were all drunk and excited, including Donna." Freddie asked her again, and she sighed and said, "Don't drug me, idiots." "Drug my husband." After another long pause, I looked at him. "Say it again." She said, "Don't drug me, idiots." Drug my husband. That simple phrase haunted me for the past 15 years. It was so cold and calculated that I couldn't believe it. What happened next? A few minutes later, Freddie brought you a drink. You passed out on one of the loungers, and we all gathered around. It wasn't until an hour later that we found out what happened to you. What do you mean? It seems you had a bad reaction to the medication Freddie gave you, and they had to rush you to the hospital. Donna didn't even know about it until you were gone. I said nothing. The first thing Monday morning, I quit and went back home to Westchester. I found a new job, got married, and now I have 3 kids. I never went back to Reading. I never saw Donna again. I've always regretted what happened, and I'm truly sorry. I don't know what else I can say or do. I asked the waitress to bring us a full coffee pot. "Malcolm, have you ever taken one of those genealogy tests?" "No, but my daughter Teresa did a few years ago." "Anyone else in the family?" "No, just her. She got it as a gift." "Why do you ask?" "Your daughter Teresa and my daughter Shelley, they're half-sisters." I watched as Malcolm sat still, not breathing. Finally, he blinked and took a deep breath. Damn. I watched him for a few moments until tears welled up in his eyes. His head slowly shook from side to side. "Are you okay?" "No, this isn't happening. The worst night of my life just got even worse. I can't believe this. It's going to tear me and my family apart. I've tried so hard to make sure nothing like this ever happened again, and then this comes back and bites me in the ass. How much worse can it get?" We sat in silence for a few minutes. "Malcolm, what happened to the other 2 guys?" "Freddie died in a crash on the Schuylkill Expressway." "Clayton. He's an alcoholic and lives in the parish priest's house in Fishtown. I haven't seen him in years." "Malcolm, I want to thank you for your time and your honesty. I'm not looking for anything else, and I have no desire for revenge or retribution. You can relax. I won't pursue or expose you. It's nice to hear, but there's another problem here. What about your daughter, or rather, my daughter?" What if she figures it all out and wants to get in touch with me? What should I do? I don't want to offend anyone or put them in an awkward position. Any suggestions? I'll help you in any way I can. I won't initiate anything, but if it comes up, I'll be on your side no matter what happens. I'm not a vengeful person. I'm upset about what happened, but I'm not going to ruin my life by dwelling on it. Just in case, maybe you'll want to prepare your wife so she doesn't catch you off guard. My everyday life became unbearable. Every time my hand twitched or my eye blinked, I remembered my wife's betrayal. Every time she was overly kind or compliant, I recoiled. Like Malcolm, she carried a sense of guilt for 15 years. For all those 15 years, I loved her because I perceived her as a faithful wife. Now I know it wasn't faithfulness, but guilt. I felt like I could forgive Malcolm, but not Donna. My love for my wife was fading, little by little, every day. It was starting to eat me up inside. I had to do something before it was too late. I did something. Hello, my name is Lena Durante. Welcome to Santa Marta Hospital. You must be John Terrell? I had been in Porto for a week, but this was my first visit to the hospital cafeteria. I made a clumsy attempt to stand up and extended my hand to greet my unexpected guest. It made her chuckle a little. Can I join you? I simply nodded as she sat down. I wouldn't call her beautiful, but she was damn attractive for a middle-aged woman. So, are you the new doctor? Glad to see you on the team. Are you settling in? She was clearly local but spoke English well, like most of the staff. Yes, everything is going well. I've rented a furnished apartment just a few minutes' walk from the hospital. All I need to do now is find a few good places to eat nearby. Oh, great, I can help you with that. I'm an expert at finding places to eat. She did a great job breaking the ice. Which department do you work in? I'm a neurosurgeon. I'm sure we'll be working together regularly. I understand you have a lot of experience. Practically in all areas. I'll be reading all the X-rays, CT scans, MRI scans, mammograms, and ultrasounds, as well as occasionally reading tea leaves. This elicited a slight chuckle from me. Have you always done that? No, I'm sure you've noticed my eye tick and the twitching of my right hand. Before my illness, I performed laparoscopic gallbladder surgery. Transitioning to radiology allowed me to continue working. I feel like I can still make a contribution. What exactly was the illness? You know, I never really found out. There were a lot of discussions and speculations, but never anything definitive. I felt like everyone was being evasive. I tried to pin it down several times and was disappointed, so I just resigned. Enough chit-chat. I need to get back to work. I finish at 6. I'll swing by here to pick you up, and we'll have your first dinner together. You work round the clock, right? I smiled and nodded. Lena Durant was single. I didn't ask why and didn't delve into the subject. After a month, I felt comfortable enough with her to explain my marital status. The fact that I was still married didn't seem to bother her. 2 weeks later, she started staying overnight at my apartment. Life was good. I didn't communicate with my wife or daughter. My relationship with Donna was getting colder and colder before my departure, although she continued to try to maintain it. The problem was within me. She tried to make me explain what was wrong, but I couldn't. Shelley became completely withdrawn. I tried to keep these relationships, but she destroyed them. It got to the point where we hardly talked. She never explained what her dissatisfaction with me was about. I didn't ask, but in my opinion, it was quite obvious that it was related to that damn DNA test. I didn't tell Donna that I was leaving. I just left her a power of attorney to sell the house and took half of our savings. She had a good job, and she wouldn't have any trouble supporting herself and Shelley. I'm sure she would eventually sell the house. I also left my wedding ring. Let her figure it out herself. Donna never tried to find me or contact me. If she knew where I wasn't aware of it. John, I've scheduled some time to meet with you on Friday at 9 in the morning at my clinic. It's just routine, so don't worry too much about it. Lena tried to speak casually. It doesn't make sense, and you know it. What's going on? It's because of the eye twitch, John. I just want to check it out a bit. Don't you think I should see an ophthalmologist? Dr. Perez will be there. He's the best we have. We're not going to do anything, just take a look. Lena, I don't trust you. I know crap when I smell it. Just shut up, John. Be there at 9. Well, Dr. Perez wasn't there. However, there was an anesthesiologist, and before I knew it, I was already fast asleep. Lena was sitting by my bedside when I woke up. She smiled at my obvious displeasure. "Are you mad at me, John?" I didn't feel much like talking, so I just grumbled at her. It didn't take me long to realize it. My eye twitch and hand twitch were gone. I raised my right hand and stared at it in amazement. It was steady as a rock. My hand immediately went to my head, and Lena started laughing as I tried to feel for bandages. There were none. "This is laparoscopy, John. You, more than anyone else, should have understood that." I gave her a dumbfounded look, as if questioning her. "Chin up, idiot," and she laughed again. Over the next few months, I worked in the surgical department to undergo recertification. I decided to stay in radiology and simply cover if any gallbladder surgeries were needed. Everyone was happy with the new arrangement. Lena and I moved in together, and for the next 2 years, everything went very well. I think she would have liked to get married, but given the circumstances, she didn't want to insist on it. It was a warm summer day, and I sat on the porch with a bottle of Lancer's Rosé. "John, you have a visitor." Lena paused for a moment. "I'll be down to the market for a bit." She didn't wait for a response. "Hi, John. It's been a long time." It had been almost 4 years since I last saw my wife. She still looked good, but there were slightly tired circles around her eyes. "Donna, you look great. Can I offer you something to drink?" "Wine would be lovely." She sat down as I fetched a glass. We were silent for a few moments. We chatted about the house, the weather, and her flight. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. "Donna, why are you here? What do you want?" "I just wanted to calm down a bit. I want to wrap things up so we can move forward. I need answers to a few questions, and I feel like you need them too. You used to refuse to talk. I think I understand why. I just need about 30 minutes or so." "You flew 15 hours just to talk for 30 minutes? I have to do this face to face." "All right, go on." "A year ago, I realized you weren't coming back. I sold the house and got a small apartment for myself and Shelley. This is the check for half of the house." She placed it on the table between us. "I filed for divorce, refusing the money. It took a year, but it's done, and everything is clean. Now you're free to do as you please." She laid another document on the table. "Shelley is engaged and getting married in a couple of months, and she asked me to pass this invitation to you. She hoped you could give her away. She'll completely understand if you decide not to. She knows her behavior was inappropriate in the past few months and apologizes for it." The invitation was attached to the other documents. "I wanted to thank you for the checks you've been sending monthly to Shelley's college account. It really meant a lot. In the circumstances, I didn't expect that. This caught me off guard. I never sent any checks. However, I had an idea where they came from. Of course, I hope to find out exactly why you left, but I understand if you refuse to tell me. If you still decide not to say anything, can I at least answer any questions you may have?" She paused and took a sip of wine. I figured it was my turn to speak now. "Donna, I didn't want half the money for the house, but if it makes you feel better, I'll gladly accept it. I didn't bother filing for divorce because I had no intention of getting married again. However, things have changed now, so divorce is welcomed. I understand. She's very beautiful. I don't think it would be appropriate of me to marry Shelley off at her wedding. I think that honor should go to her father." As I finished this sentence, Donna dropped her wineglass onto the patio's tiled floor. There was a sigh as her mouth fell open. It took me a few minutes to pick up the glass, and she composed herself. She seemed to struggle for words. "John, I don't want to be a conniving bitch or anything, and I'm also not trying to be evasive or defensive, but who do you suggest I reach out to? How about one of the 3 guys you had sex with that night when I had the attack?" Thankfully, this time she didn't have a glass in her hand. After about 30 seconds of incoherent muttering mixed with sobs, she finally blurted out, "I think I made a mistake coming here. I was hoping for closure, but not like this. I think I should go." She began to rise, but I insisted she sit back down. "No, you're not going anywhere. You opened this can of worms, now finish what you started. You felt coming here with open arms was the right path. It was meant to make me feel like crap for leaving my wife and daughter. Sorry, but this dog doesn't hunt. Why don't you tell me all about it, including why you kept the medical report hidden?" Just at that moment, Lena returned and noticed what was happening. "What the hell, John? What did you do?" "Nothing. We were just talking about old times," and she fell apart. Lena led Donna into the house and laid her down on the couch. She applied a cold compress and gave her some pills. I stood aside. I was a bad guy. How the hell did this happen? I went to the kitchen and grabbed a super bock. The wine didn't ruin the taste. John, why don't I talk to her? Maybe she won't get so upset. You must be pretty drunk. Is there anything specific you want me to ask her? Yeah, a couple of questions. I already know the answers to some of them, but I'd like to see if she confirms them. The rest, I just don't know. Ask her the names of the 3 guys she had sex with that night. Did she see them again? See if you can find out if she had other guys and at what other times. Just curious. Ask her why she hid the medical report about my seizure. Ask her why we didn't have any more kids. Hold on, that's a lot of information. It's a bit overwhelming. I'll do what I can. Why don't you go out to the backyard and relax? Grab a couple more bottles of beer. I fell asleep, and 2 hours later, Lena was shaking me awake. I gave her a sedative. She'll spend the rest of the night in the guest bedroom. Did anything productive come out of it? Once I got her started, I couldn't get her to stop talking. The only thing she remembers about the 3 guys is that one of them was named Freddie. He tried to get her to take some drugs, but she remembers continuing to refuse. She didn't admit to suggesting he drugged you. I don't think she'll ever admit to that. So, how did the sex go? She didn't say, but judging from how she described it, it must have been pretty good. It seems it was a one-time thing. I don't know why she did it. I couldn't get any hints about any other affairs. She never saw those guys again and never heard anything about them. She suspected one of them was Shelley's father, but she never found out for sure. She got scared when Shelley got a DNA test kit for Christmas but didn't know how to handle it. She figured you understood, and that's why you left. Wow, that's quite a summary. It explains a lot. She also asked why you no longer have the eye twitch or hand tremor. I explained to her that it's easily fixable and should have been done years ago, but the diagnosis was somehow concealed. That triggered another bout of crying, so I just let her be. She needs to sleep until morning. It's hard to believe, but I once loved that woman. I always thought such love lasts forever, but it's not true. I fought for 15 years for something I shouldn't have had. All the attention and love she shared with me over the years were just a way to hide her betrayal. It wasn't love. John, there's bitterness in your voice. Lena, I have to leave for a few days. When Donna wakes up in the morning, can you make sure she gets to the airport? Tell her I won't be coming to Shelley's wedding. Also, let her know that the checks she received were from Shelley's father, not me. Where will you go? She asked. I don't know. It's just for a week or so. You'll be here when I get back, right? Of course, I will. Promise you won't drink too much. Call me. And so ended that part of my life. I never saw or heard from Donna or Shelley again. Lena and I didn't get married, but we bought a nice little villa near Porto together. Inspired by watching a few videos by Michael James Smith, I decided to take up oil painting. Turns out I'm quite good at it. The villa had a nice little studio, too. For Christmas, Lena gave me a DNA test kit. It wasn't funny.
Thank you for being with us and listening until the end. If you found it interesting, please subscribe, give us a like, and leave your comments. And we'll see you on the Cheating Secrets channel.